Welcome back to the Talk Past podcast. Here, of course, on the Medieval Content channel. I am the usual host here, but with my co-host, of course.
It's me, a bug in a rug, snug, your friendly Red Iron Riot, aka the War Queen.
Indeed, and I am NC. So, I've been watching a lot of Name Drop, the Welsh Viking, and a few other YouTubers of whom don't necessarily mention it. But he mentioned, and I'm only name dropping because I've only heard him mention it, the word reenactorisms or reenactmentisms. And that is,
Reenactmentisms.
I like that one better than reenactorisms, but it's just because the word doesn't fall off as nice. Described, I'm paraphrasing, something that is popular in our community. We, of course, do a medieval festival, among other few things. So our basically reenactment community, but is not rooted in historical accuracy. So I thought it'd be fun to discuss that and kind of go down that sort of rabbit hole and see where it goes.
Like, as I do mention, didn't want to mention, and I did mention to you before. It's like I feel like my experience of reenact. Well, what do we decide on? Reenactmentisms.
Either or.
Reenactmentisms is kind of. I am a plain potato. I am the most boring kind of person sometimes. So
in that regard, do you try very hard to be as historically accurate as possible, or do you give yourself some leeway, as I certainly have, maybe a little too much?
My stance is I try to be as historically accurate as possible with regards to modern comfort.
Right.
Like
previously we talked about kilts. For the obvious reason that though the time frame that we did it in for Bannockburn, they didn't wear kilts.
No.
However, when you're doing a show like ours, or maybe perhaps in general, because it's also in film, with William Wallace.
Mm-hmm.
They wear kilts because otherwise, how do you know they're Scottish?
And that is like the kind of, for us, it was the word of God that the only reason that we were wearing kilts, because they needed to differentiate between the Scots and the English on the field. And let me put this straight out. I don't mind a guy in a kilt. It's a very handsome piece of clothing on a gentleman. But the closest thing that would have been appropriate for the time period would have been the plaid, which is just basically it's a cloak made out of that cotton, and that's I think we've probably said this before. It is the precursor to the modern day ghillie suit, and Highlanders. And even then, in that case, it wouldn't have been this, really lovely piece of craft work with these different dyes, different dyed bits of wool and everything. It would be a undyed woolen cloak that Highlanders would stick all this bits of greenery to hide them in the green.
There an artifact find or a dig site that shows that? I know textiles, fabrics don't tend to last very long, but in certain conditions, is that like an archaeological find?
Give me a moment. It's one of those things. I can't remember where I know it from. I just know it is the thing.
The thing. That's another thing. The thing. Besides the movie, of course, or the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to be confused with Gilly Weed, which is in Harry Potter. Helps you breathe underwater.
All right, so let's see if Popular Mechanics has a no. Popular Mechanics won't let me read this.
while you're looking. That's another gripe. I think we're going to mention this again and again, but it's so hard to. Of course, we should always do our best to do research on some things, but information like this should be readily available. Scientific knowledge, archaeological finds, papers, theories, etc., should be so much more accessible. Unfortunately, however, a lot of the time you're going to end up on these sites that cause paywalls in order for you to actually look at it. So if you research this on like Google or something and it should pop up, it doesn't because you got to pay for it.
Gosh, where was this? I could have sworn that this was an actual thing. The only information I can currently find is that during the Second Boer War, I can pronounce it. A Scottish Highland regiment formed by Simon Fraser, was the first use of ghillie suits in a military. In the Second Boer War, that is like, yeah, that's like, man, I could have sworn that this was a thing. Dress Act of 1746 is attempted to bring the warrior clans under government control by banning the tartan and other aspects of Gaelic culture. And in the kilt, again, the kilt itself, it was originally just a cloak. Then it eventually evolved into the great kilt, which is, again, just a length of cotton worn around the waist with an extra bit that could be thrown over the shoulder and pinned over the shoulder, which is how I wore during our Bannockburn year, which was actually, I thought I felt very fancy. Mm-hmm. But the kilt that you'll see a lot of folks wearing, it is called the walking kilt. It was invented by it was created by I want to say a Quaker, I think. And yeah, it was the phenomenon of tartans and plaids and the patterns and clan badges are all mostly a Victorian era invention.
Yeah. And
it's like, it's such an issue that when Brave was released, the Pixar movie, I think the government of Scotland actually released a statement saying, hey, we appreciate this, but we'd also don't, it's kind of that, it's hey, this is great, but we're not all, kilt wearing, haggis eating people. It's just
exactly.
And yeah,
I mean, haggis is good though.
It is good. I do enjoy me a good haggis and chips, but
it brings me to another thing because you mentioned cotton, and see, cotton wasn't so popular until like around the 12th century.
So, it was all wool, baby.
One of the three main fabrics that we're told to use by our costume designer, or in general, is generally accepted in that I see linen, wool, and cotton. But you see, cotton was allowed during our Viking year when it really shouldn't have, because cotton wasn't really a thing in that particular time frame and part of the world. Obviously it existed, but that's definitely another sort of reenactism. I think because of where we are. We do our show in Florida. So,
yeah.
Although we do strive to use real fur, we do strive to use as real fabrics as possible. I think people are definitely using linen out of context. Linen was used mostly as undergarments, and definitely using cotton as often as possible, simply because 100% cotton. Sure, we can do that, but no. It's that is definitely a reenactism, I think, in terms of being in a very hot climate.
This is where I come in and say, this is I appreciate, I really do want to try and be as accurate as I can, but also consideration to the environment and health in this case. Because oh boy, the great kilt I wore during Bannockburn was the full worsted wool.
Mm-hmm.
All out. It was draining because it was just always so warm.
I imagine. I mean, wool, even throughout the entirety of the medieval period, was king. You know, I mean, obviously we're thinking about Western Europe, right? We're thinking about a northern climate that is always cold, say for like what 2 weeks of the year. So,
Yeah.
I mean, not like Game of Thrones wool, where you've got a whole freaking animal pelt on your shoulder.
Whew.
But although the Eddard Stark cloak is wool, it is real, full, historically accurate wool, which is not the pelt on him. I mean,
You mean the what was
yeah,
it? The
it was a gray wolf.
yeah, but it was the
It was something. I think it was a wolf.
it was supposed to be a wolf, but if you recall, it was
Maybe a coyote or a fox.
no, it was an IKEA rug that was cut trimmed. Let's see.
So, which that's where you get it. But so it's kind of weird.
Which
Like for all of the Viking stuff, you know what I wore as King Alfred? I wore my black suede tabard.
mm-hmm.
I wore linen tunic, which did not look anything like a Anglo-Saxon tunic. But that was because I was kind of left to my own devices for sewing, and I'm that good at sewing. I'm gonna start doing some sewing now here for the channel to make a historically accurate Viking outfit. I bought some nice, completely 100% as well as local, strived specifically to go local wool herringbone fabric.
Ooh, very nice.
The herringbone just looks chef's kiss. And
but
yeah,
it's like I said, for Florida, it's what I can what is safe to manage, and if it looks good, if it looks appropriate, like because I like to use linen because it's what's available to a more casual
See, even that one I don't like. I don't like it when she says she, of course, our costume designer, and she's not wrong, but I'm just saying I don't like when you go outside of the 100%. So if it's like wool, later period medieval, cotton, and then linen, even though it didn't connect to me because I was stupid and didn't do the research, even though linen is an undergarment fabric for the most part, I was like, it's got to be 100% linen, can't be linen look. Can't be this or that. It has to be 100% of this fabric.
Yeah.
Even still, I had those weird limitations, even though they were incorrect. But for me, during Joan of Arc year, I was having some major health issues during the fight that I was doing because we're in Florida and it's hot and being dumb.
Yeah.
Layers. I had a yellow tunic that was also long sleeved. And I had my black suede tabard, which I love that thing. I had to replace it. So I have a full replacement.
Nice.
But because for some reason I stabbed myself and obviously the hole just keeps growing. But so I turned the stabbed fabric into I cut the 4 pieces out and I'll use it for like bracers or something for someone.
And again, this is
it was too many layers. So I started getting just heart problems, and I was like, you know what? I gotta shed the layers. As soon as you take off all of that clothing, and I was just wearing the cotton pants and the linen tunic. I don't know if that was okay for that time frame. Cotton. I forget what Joan was.
It
started spreading to our reach of the world around the 12th century. I'd have to research that a little bit better. We'll do an episode on fabrics. But
it's a very important topic that not a lot of people would think about.
Yeah.
But this also kind of falls to the category of it. You know what? Good fabric's expensive.
It is. I was able to finagle the 100% pure wool herringbone fabric for the projects I'm going to do for the channel at very decent prices, but that is only because I am making a square cloak, and which all you have to do is get a square whatever of fabric, and there you go, you're done. But also a Viking pillbox hat, which all that has to do is fit my head. So,
Yeah, I was actually gonna say, my like in that vein of thought, my cloak that I used for Viking gear and I plan to use again, it's just a blanket. It is just a blanket.
hey, if it works.
And it does work, and I love it very much. It's very, I think it looks striking. It looks like
Like,
and
I really love this herringbone pattern. However, I really also like the patterning that Eddard Stark wears in Game of Thrones. Now it's legit. It's 100% wool. Like that part is accurate. But it's burned wool, so that's what gives it that look. So
ooh,
they literally like torched the wool, and it just has this almost Victorian look to it, and it gives it a Game of Thronesy appearance, right? But it's a thing. It's a legit thing. The closest is the herringbone. Like, I really like that pattern. But I also like just plain wool, where you just have wool. It's just straight off the sheep, or a pile woven wool. And this kind of goes into the cheats,
mm-hmm.
the cheating that we do for our show specifically. Like, I have a padded tabard that was once Bruce's, and it's just the sleeves. The padding is just the collar, and then the rest is linen.
For a reenactor who is in an environment that is very uncomfortable to wear multiple layers, the idea of having a piece of padded armor that is actually just the visible parts, maybe the sleeves and the neck, and possibly part of the tassets, which would be below the belt and covering the thighs, and all the rest of the like a vest, just like a regular cloth. It's always like a great idea. It's just getting it. It's not something I've seen sold. It's one of those things you have to make yourself in order for a proper fit.
I look at Zach, I look at Caleb, Colin, and they've got, I think, Colin 100%. But I know Caleb has a brown padded garb that is like legit, full on padded armor.
I think actually I think we have it's a full length sleeveless brown piece with a like a high neck, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we have the same thing.
Mm-hmm. You have padded armor too.
Well, okay, so the only piece of padded armor I currently have is this it's a full length coat with that is sleeveless and it has a high neck. It buttons down the front. I have for most years I have actually borrowed my brother's padded armor. And then that's not happened recently for the obvious reasons.
Yeah. Although just a quick historical sidebar that I find amusing every year, they've never changed the graphic for the banner. It's still our wonderful dance kid and Derek and some random dude from one of the acts that doesn't do our show anymore and hasn't for years. And like, we are happy to take photos for you. Just update your banner. But anyway, we're digressing. So yeah, the cheats. Now I'm not talking about cheats like adding ice to your outfit. That's necessary. That's necessary even if you're in like our source material from the inspiration of the word the Welsh Viking up in Edinburgh. Imagine if you're doing this during the summer. Depending on the person, you may want something to cool you down.
Oh! I was gonna say, apparently, according to the website, this year's scenario is the Battle of Falkirk. I did not know that. And apparently, they're gonna try to do themed weekends. Great, good job, good luck, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I've never done that. I've never put ice in my outfit. That's kind of weird.
But, I think when I was planning to do our Joan of Arc year, I was thinking about how I could do something underneath my armor and the armor I was planning to get to make it easier, more comfortable, and just a little safer to wear. Because again, we're in Florida, and I was not sure that we would have like an AC. I had asked the director, it's like, hey, is there a chance that you'll have like an AC tent for Joan of Arc here, because you're going to have people wearing full plate mail, or plate mail at least.
No. Not out of any crudeness or disrespect. It's just, I think, we always talk about things we want, and then one thing will happen.
Yeah. But so the thought that I had, and like if you're a serious reenactor and you're planning to go whole days of wearing armor, which you shouldn't, honestly.
Nope.
Then it's quite easy to add a pocket. If you at least even just the smallest bit handy at sewing, add a pocket just beneath the armpits on your sides and one on the back of your neck. And there are these great little. I even looked up these great little ice packs that are like about the palm sized, and round, and just slip them in when you need, and replace them when you need.
Yeah. See, I don't even do that when I get back to green room. Like, I mean, I've got drinks, but they're not cold.
Well, they shouldn't be cold.
Right.
Like you should, if you want to keep a couple cold, keep them cold. But for hydration, it needs to be body temperature.
Yeah. For me, it's always been about money. Just not having the money, even when I had a job that was occasionally $2,000 to $2,500 a month. Occasionally.
Yeah.
It's just, you just don't have the money for all these things.
Yeah.
But, now, obviously, I can prepare. I've got the year and a half to prepare. But in any case, staying within the sphere of clothing, gear, right? Boots. Boots is such a thing that I've noticed every group, because, going to other festivals too, everyone wears the Son of Sandlers. I wear Son of Sandlers.
I wear Son of Sandlers.
Doesn't matter what scenario. You got those beautiful
Son of Sandlers. You want to sponsor us? Go for it. Thumbs up.
Please go buy the expensive Son of Sandlers, because they are the only boots you will ever need. Mm-hmm. But those things are gorgeous, and they're comfortable. Mine were hand-me-downs, and they fit perfectly. Even for me, because I have tiny feet. But geez, so obviously that wasn't a thing. Knee-high boots.
Nope.
Unfortunately, was never a thing.
The history of shoes is so weird, and I would really love to see I would love to see a shoe vendor selling authentic medieval shoes.
Yeah, everything back then was, for the most part, it was like ankle high, like it was shoes, like legit shoes.
Yep.
And they would make it and then verse it so that you could wear it, and it was usually deeply primitive. If I'm thinking my head.
You're thinking of turn. You should be thinking of turn shoes.
Yes, my mind is always in the 9th century with the 800s of the Vikings, turn shoes, and it's just literally just leather, and sometimes there's like some vehicle door.
In fairness, the Sandlers are honestly a good thing, considering how our fair runs and where our fair runs, because you need those soles. Turn shoes, medieval shoes in general, they don't really have a grippy sole. It's just a piece of leather.
Exactly.
And
you can put some padding in the shoe.
You can.
No one's going in there and looking at whether you got gel in there or not. I think the closest is those Minnetonks. Remember those?
Minnetonks.
I had a black pair of knee-high and ankle-high Minnetonks. My very first pair of shoes were knee-high Minnetonks with zippers in the back that I used for 3 years of festival.
Nice. I was about to say, because the soles on those shoes can go really fast under pressure.
Oh, I don't know if I tossed them or not, but I may still have them. I don't know. Who knows? The original knee-high Minnetonks that I bought, I should still have them. I don't think they're up here with me, but they never went out of style. They lasted.
I mean, Minnetonks are, they fit, they look the look, they're comfortable, and they're accessible. So it's like if you're just starting with
think
with reenaction with
I think
reenacting,
the issue there might be two things,
you,
at least in terms of shoes. Because
yeah,
for us, isn't the first thing we always say is get your shoes, get your shoes,
yeah,
get your
that is true.
apparently that's pretty much rule number one for other groups as well, because I mean
Hmm.
it's the thing. It's also the most expensive usually, besides the sword. um One is money.
Yep.
For me, $80 Minnetonkas were definitely more viable than
$200.
$300, $200 to $300 on Sandler's. But all the same, even though it would have been cheaper, it was still more accessible than buying $15 entire pigskin. $15 if it's on sale. The place we go to, if they're doing a sale, it's like $15. Otherwise, it's like what, $40, $50. Buying the leather raw and then making the shoe. For some people, it's easier to just buy the shoe.
Yeah, yeah. But that's actually the funny thing is that, in historical era, there most shoes would be made by, in the home. In the home. I'm sorry, my brain just went to a really weird place in a Aqua Teen Hunger Force joke.
Weird. You know what else about these boots, and me especially, if you notice, the outfits that I wear that aren't particularly pertaining to the yellow and blue uh, stuff that I wear. Tunics, which were
Mm-hmm.
made by our costume designer, and thank you for making those. They are amazing. But black,
Mm-hmm.
jet black. I love black. I'm wearing black. I'm definitely a goth, definitely a space goth cowboy. Black and pink and purple are my favorite colors. So anytime I have a chance to wear black, like it took a long time for me to accept wearing yellow.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And
I was nerd goth. It's like give me the black shirts with the nerd stuff on them
oh yeah,
throughout.
remember I had my Slytherin phase where I was pretty much just wearing black and green. And then I threw out, before I came back up, I threw out all of my clothing, all of it, 100%, everything that I had in my closet. I threw it out and ordered an entirely new wardrobe of just black and grays.
Oof.
But black, although it is in high medieval, like a later period, it did not exist in early medieval period.
Yeah. And I think we talked about this when we talked about a Knight's Tale last. It's just
Yeah,
it give me some colors. Every time I make a costume for fair, I try to do a color.
yeah.
And
Like look at the Vikings. People put them in browns and earth tones and stuff. Like, yeah, sure, of course, it's easy to make that, but they would have been wearing yellows and reds and blues and purples,
like
pinks.
it's like I'm here, I'm showing off my wealth with this color. Get wrecked.
Hmm. And then, of course, they would have had grays as well. Um, Shout out again to the Welsh Viking. Oh my goodness, that dude and his channel has lit a fire under me for historical accuracy
Oh
and
yeah?
test stuff. But
I have to check
he
it out.
he did an episode or a video. What are we gonna call it, right? Um, Actually dyeing leather, trying to get black, and leather as well as wool, because obviously wool is king. Um,
Mhm.
you can dye it again and again and again and again using all these different dyes, and you're still not going to get black. You can do that to leather, and you're still not going to get black. Jet black, I'm talking about onyx. Like void black, cat black. I have a black cat, and I'm excited. But black cat
Baby.
black, you're never going to get it because it's faded. Um, the but you can get it in ink, but it just won't dye black.
Mhm.
So I don't know if Zach or Guthrum he actually wore the same colors as I did. It was kind of kind of strange. I liked it. Obviously you'd think you'd want opposing colors, but I think that kind of connected us as king, as equals.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. I didn't actually notice that.
But I did. Yeah, no, he was wearing yellows and blues. I was wearing yellows and blues. My my I don't know word mental problems. My outfit was black and blue. So his was yellow and blue. We wore a lot of the same stuff. I mean, around that time it would have been the same stuff available, right? But any case, I did see a lot of people wearing the traditional, not actually Viking clothing, hairstyles. No offense, but I think Zach did a Ragnar haircut. I'm not 100%.
I think so. He did have the Viking braids going on.
Yeah. But not to single him out. Everyone in the Viking side looked like this. Very few people actually went for the historically accurate Viking.
Except for me, because my hair is too short to braid.
Exactly. What was I going with? Yes, black. So you can get like dark gray. Like I don't know how you have your Discord.
I do.
You know how? Well, mine is the night vision one, so it's like a dark. But you know how the Slytherin gray?
Yeah.
Sort of almost dark metallic. That's the color. I think the darkest he was able to get on wool, and then leather was like a kind of like a dark.
So I have a question, and I don't know if you responded to it or not. Did you see the meme I posted on my Facebook?
Facebook? No.
I
try to not be on Facebook as much as
possible. No. Okay, hold on. I have to show you. I have to show you. I have a thing. I have to show you. And my friend posted this, and it made me laugh because it was. This is my friend who's also very into medieval culture. He's actually been working he's been working on a thesis that he's about, if I believe correctly, something about the Crusades. And but we talk about medieval stuff. We talk about Bretonians. That's where I met him, in a Bretonian band forum. Yeah. So
Patronum. Expecto Patronum.
But so he posted, it was, the incel v Chad meme.
Mm-hmm.
He posted it was the Virgin movie night versus the Chad medieval night, and it just talking about haircuts just made me think that.
Oof.
But like, it's true.
Like the TV show Vikings version of Alfred.
Yeah.
Chadfred. I hate that show. I'm just absolutely going on record that I hate that show.
But so one of the things it mentions is the haircut, and the movie night has this short haircut that's just no, and that's not what I want to do. Can I see this image, please? I got the short and modern kind of haircut. Right. He doesn't wear a helmet, so you can see that it is he's ruggedly handsome. And then the Chad medieval knight, wearing a visored helmet that protects his glorious bowl cut. So I would love to see this year for the Battle of Falkirk. I would love to see all of the nobles with bowl cuts. Time to put up.
Not gonna happen.
You see, that's a reenactism.
Because one, it's your personal body, right?
Yeah, I understand.
But also, I see people with like super modern hairstyles, and not just the Ragnar. Because I mean, that's a cool look. I love that look. Right. I'm actually sporting that look right now. But people just wearing modern stuff because it's their body. But
Yeah.
but it's I fear or I feel that it's kind of like a trepidation or hesitation to go for historically accurate hairstyles, like especially if you're like a monk,
Hmm.
um, because the stigma. Like remember, in Vikings, just to say something positive about it, Bjorn Ironside, his hairstyle is historically accurate, but I don't know if anybody did that during Viking year.
Hold on, I have to look at this. I don't know. Bjorn. But like, if I ever actually saw, um, a reenactor rocking a bowl cut, I would be super impressed.
Yeah,
I really would be, because it's yes, it's your body, your choice, but it's like how much are you willing to really step into those shoes?
yeah.
And
Are you just doing this for fun, or do you want to actually look like living history?
I wonder what if we could ever convince, start a can, get to a point where you can start a campaign. Hey, Chad diversity. When you get in the bowl cut, man.
Mm-hmm. Not to put him on the spot, but so hairstyles absolutely. So um, also kind of let's go down the face there then. So we've got makeup.
No.
So there's two things about makeup I've noticed because I love wearing makeup. Not in the sense
More
of
power
like
to you.
beauty.
Right.
I don't wear like foundation or anything like that. My influences and inspirations are like Marilyn Manson, David Bowie, Ozzy Osbourne, people that use makeup as a form of artistic expression.
Hmm.
I see it as like a canvas.
Right.
So when I wear makeup, that's what it is. We did it. I did it for Bannockburn. Do you remember that when we were doing Woad? And I was going out doing the Aladdin Sane lightning bolt, and I was doing the Marilyn Manson mechanical animals Omega eyes, and I also did a callback to Once Upon a Time's Rumpelstiltskin thing, which was a much more uh, appropriate. He
Deep
was just
cut.
kind of like claw marks.
Deep cut.
Yeah. So that people putting in kind of like nuanced like modern designs on them for makeup, but also
Right.
wearing like for the medieval combat show that I did on this channel. I was like, my rule to everybody that got involved was only use what you have. I'm
Hmm.
not going to be strict. Have fun. Blah blah blah. I fought Tara, who played Era, and Viking. She wanted to do Viking, and I'm like, what time frame is this? Edward II? Yeah, kind of the end of the Vikings. Sure. Um, you know, I told her, I'm gonna wear makeup under the mask. And she, well, if you're wearing makeup, I want to wear makeup. I'm like, I'm gonna say yes, go for it. So eyeliner, the shadow, all that stuff. That's total reenactment. It's just something that's popular in our group that it isn't really a thing. Well, I mean, it is a thing, right? Like makeup was worn. Makeup is a thing in medieval period, but
Hmm.
I don't think it's in a way that we use it now.
No. So just if you ever Google medieval makeup, one of the
Yeah.
first sites that come up is this beautiful little site, rosaliegilbert.com, and it looks like this. She looks like it's a older woman who does reenactment, and she has a page on medieval cosmetics,
Mhm.
and this actually looks really neat. Um, there is a um, so, sorry about words. There's an example. She has an example of a statue from 1350. It shows a woman wearing, some
Rouge.
rouge.
Yeah.
Um, with her eyebrows are plucked. Her face is painted a little paler,
Mhm.
and so makeup was a thing.
Oh yeah, even the Vikings. Well, so there is a blurb by a source that may or may not be credible because it's literally just a phrase. that references tattoos on Vikings. Vikings because it's in a, I think it's around Hidaby. Tattoos from head to toe, and wearing black eyeliner. I would say it doesn't say eyeliner, but basically black around the eyes to make it look bigger, and beautify themselves. However, this is a secondhand source, so I'm not taking it as fact, but it's referenced, and it is something that was available to them, at least the makeup. But it was also back then, and we're not going to do this even for a living history thing, but makeup back then was made with lead, arsenic, hydroxide, carbonate.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff, man.
Everything that you don't want in makeup. So, I mean, we wear makeup now with all the products we have. Maybe it's Maybelline, maybe Cynic, but yeah. But definitely, I think the reenactism is that they definitely weren't wearing makeup like Marilyn Manson wears makeup.
No.
David Bowie and me.
Though, again, from this website, there's a bit of a blurb on the respectability of women wearing makeup, and it goes as Thomas of Aquinas was questioned about the use of cosmetics by a woman, and also grudgingly conceded that for a woman to make herself as attractive as possible to her husband, so that he might not stray into the sin of adultery, was itself not a sin. However, is cautioned that a woman should not make herself so beautiful that she should attract the other woman's husbands. So,
yeah,
there's your you have license to wear makeup. Just don't go whole hog.
Just don't have fun with it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never too much. Never too much. Somebody else thinks. But going makeup, yes and no. But one thing I've noticed that is definitely a bit of a reenactism. I think kind of by choice. But,
I mean, in fairness, like we have, we've got the wenches who poke fun at the makeup. And God, if I've said it before, I don't care. I'll say it again. God bless those wenches. I love them so much.
We're talking about the water washing wenches.
Yep. The washing, especially the two that are usually the ones that do our show. They're just they are absolute gems.
Indeed. Now, I've never watched their show, mind you, but we're told not to. So, but
well,
so Dialect. I've noticed now. Obviously, I think it depends on the period and depends on the type, right? We get Dialect CDs every year, hopefully, depending on the dialect. If it's a dialect that needs one, like Russian, German, whatever.
Yeah.
But back then, like especially if I'm going to think about Viking year, they didn't speak English. They didn't even speak with a Danish dialect or an English dialect. It was all Anglo-Saxon, Old English, and Old Norse. So, I mean, I would love to learn. I'm trying to learn Old Norse and Old English because obviously you can tell I'm infatuated with that period. But as well as a couple others like Vlad the Impaler. But I would love to try and learn Old Norse and then get an appropriate dialect out of that in English. Like, how would they sound if they were trying to speak our modern language?
Absolutely. That is definitely a thought. And, that's one of the things that it's just the fact of, recording and history is that we'll never know for sure. And that's such a bummer sometimes,
I mean, we have the means to speak Old English and Old Norse and all these old languages, Germanic, etc. But it is fascinating because I want to know how it actually rolled off the tongue. Do we know how exactly the Danes spoke it, as opposed to, of course, those in the other parts of Scandinavia? How did those of Wessex speak Old English as opposed to Mercia and Northumbria and such like that. Alfred was known to actually have kind of created his own language. He sort of did what we do. You know how you take words and you slang it, and then you kind of create your own new language.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Alfredian, not Alfredo, but Alfredian Old English. Because I mean, back then, if you didn't know how to say or write, specifically write a word, you just kind of made it up, and there you go. That's cat, and it looks just like 3 sticks, right? Yes, that must be how it's spelled. Because who knows? Nothing was uniform back then. Everyone had their own thing.
Well, nothing was uniform except for the church.
Indeed. But I would love to see that become popular in reenactment groups. I would love to see Living History actually try to use those historical languages. I would love to see, if not, I would love to see us try to implement those languages through dialect, as opposed to just
Dialect.
as opposed to if we're doing King Edward II, we're just, oh, hello, pip pip cheerio.
Pins on a bobbin.
Pins on a bobbin, bobbins on a pin. Fraggle Rock was a great show, but hey, you never know. We're gonna go over here and what? This is what? Your name is not Buck, it is Bouquet. And you must always enjoy those 40 towers. That kind of thing, right? That muddled English where Robin Williams said, oh, well, your accent is muddled too. So is your tan. I would love to see implementation words. I would love to see words used, but as opposed to that sort of reenactorism of just stiff upper lip it. Or let's use an American dialect and call ourselves Viking. I heard that too.
Although, in fairness, the one fellow, our chef, who did the Swedish Chef bit.
Bork. I kept wanting to mention that. Because I heard a lot of people in the Viking group talking like that. Like her like who? What?
So just to think that there were a bunch of us that were just making fun of it, but he worked it. It wasn't just an one-off thing for him. He worked it the entire festival. And you got to respect that.
I don't remember. Who was the chef?
Ben.
No disrespect to that person.
It was Ben.
Who was it? Ben. Oh, I love Ben.
Yeah.
yes, it makes sense for Ben to do that. And I approve.
Yeah, but he definitely he just didn't, he wasn't just futzing around with it. He went 100% on it.
You may as well just make it your passion. If you're going to do it, do it.
Yep. Oh man.
Like when I was the preacher.
That's another thing. I guess we could call it a reenactism is, it's really funny. It feels like a lot of folks that are reenactors are not very religious folks in the traditional Christian faith. I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like a thing.
I think we have a very diverse group, and we have some friends that are religious, and I love them very much, and I would take a bullet for them. We have some friends that are atheistic, and again, I love them and would take a bullet for them. So it kind of ranges in the spectrum. Really
I guess it just might be the vibe I get from it, but
our group specifically, definitely, I don't want to say left or right. I definitely see that it is very diverse, and I love that because I love different cultures and different ideologies and people questioning my own. But I mean, we have people in the far ideology of all the spectrums, not just left,
tragic,
left or right, or even middle. So it's whatever.
Still,
I see what you're saying. Topic change. So moving on, of course. So one thing I really wanted to talk about this because I love it. Specifically, one weapon in particular that I used my last year was custom weapons and weapon use. So some people in our show uses dual weapons, dual fighting, right? Which wasn't particularly a thing back then. Not widely, a thing back then. So that's definitely a reenactorism, especially the way they use it. It's more of just showing off kind of thing. It's like, I don't want to say showing off in a bad way. It's
yeah. I
showing
get
off your
you.
ability to handle these two weapons that really are a technical prowess to be able to move so fluidically and be able to just perfectly and without issue just flow with those weapons. Because with two weapons, you got to keep moving. One
Right.
weapon's in, the next one's got to go in. You can't have one that's a dead arm. So it takes practice. It takes a lot to actually really look good with two weapons. But
That's why I prefer sword and board.
Yeah,
because I don't gotta think too much about it. You think when you think, you make mistakes.
And then of course you've got people who have custom weapons. Either they customize their daggers. I remember one person who doesn't do our show anymore, Jess, had beautiful daggers made that were kind of modern looking, but they were very intricate weapons back then too. I think the weapons we use now for reenactment and living history is actually a lot duller than designs that you had back then. I think we could kind of spruce it up a little more, actually. But
well,
but
then
her,
you know that
her design was specifically.
But then when you think about it, then you fall into the problem of for like a reenactism of everybody has a sword, and no.
Yeah, swords are expensive. Like someone, depending on the time period, right? Because at some point later period, like 15, swords are just kind of like memes.
Right.
I have a mean little sword. But also swords were secondary defense. You would generally have a pole arm.
Yep. Because you didn't want anybody getting close to you.
Exactly.
You get that spear. You got that spear. You got that distance. You're good to go.
Sword was like your last ditch defense. And defense, I mean, like that's something that you're going to use to block. But it's also obviously sharp. If it was sharp. Obviously, I have a rounded sword.
No, yeah, I wouldn't say that's not quite a reenactism, more just the like as much as it would be cool for me to be like, oh yeah, I've got a functional sword. It's like, what's the point besides? Yeah.
Also, blunting the weapon. I'll be honest, I have a Viking sex and I've never blunted it, and I never will, because it costs money. But in our group, they do suggest that you blunt your weapons. Fortunately, the swords that I get and acquiring are already rounded because that's historically accurate. But
well, that's an important thing for as a note for reenactors. It's an important thing to consider when buying a weapon. If you can get the weapon that is blunted, or just not sharpened, or if is the weapon you're buying, is it marked as, oh yeah, this is sharpened, you could kill a man with this. I mean, you could kill a man with a blunted sword if you hit him hard enough, but
but that's a bludgeon weapon. So, or the murder stroke. So, as a gift from Sam, I have a sterling. I think it's sterling silver. Sterling is the name of the group. Dagger, which is, I believe, blunted. And then, of course, I have my Viking sex, which is BKS. BKS is, of course, my favorite metal, which is not, and I never will. Sorry, but I'm not going to blunt that. It costs a lot of money. I'm not ruining my sword or my dagger. But no, that's totally something that we do for safety. That I think is an acceptable reenactorism.
Yeah. Although, in fairness, the one thing that you would have that wouldn't be that honestly shouldn't be blunted would be the knife, because you'd use it's a utility thing. It's not just, it wouldn't just be your your sidearm, quote unquote. It's you eat with this. You probably work with it in some capacity at a camp. it's I could see keeping a sharp blade as a tool, but I understand Ferris being like, no, it's got to be blunted.
Yeah. And then let's talk about the penultimate. And I'm going to get him on the podcast to talk about this weapon specifically, but I do want to mention anytime we get a chance to mention it because I love the weapon. And I used it for the preacher. The spear cross.
Spear cross.
Spear cross. Dave calls it the hammer cross, but my apologies, Dave, but there's nothing hammer about that. It's basically the cross itself is basically the edges, 3 edges of the sword, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's made into a cross, and it's like basically a polearm. So obviously you get the polearm fitting, but instead of a point, a regular point, spear, whatever, halberd, axe, who cares? You've got a cross made of metal, and it's on all 3 points. It is beautiful, and then that goes down to the actual spear, which is just your regular spear. And it's heavy, but it's got good balance. It moves so well. It is an amazing weapon, and that is an absolute reenactorism, because I think custom weapons are popular with the reenactors, but I think making your own weapon is like that's
like the top tier. That is like the goal, honestly.
Like if you have a weapon, it's not like, oh, I want a flail because it looks cool. No, I want to invent a weapon. He's like, I know it's not historically accurate. I just want it.
I know it would be difficult to use properly, but honestly, I would love to be able to use a mace one year.
A mace.
Like
what Dina's used, or the.
I guess. I'm not sure if I'm thinking the right thing, but like I like they're cool. They're cool looking weapon.
Are you thinking about the one with the ball and string kind?
Okay. A mace
or like a Morning Star.
Okay. Well, what I'm talking about a mace, I'm talking about is basically the stick with the heavy weight on one end, right?
Gotcha.
The flail is the one that is the ball and chain. That is the as a note. That's the difference.
Yeah, flail is stupid. Mace is not. Like we can obviously tell that flails to some extent probably existed, right?
I think the one flail that may have actually been a specific thing is the one that is it doesn't have the whole chain on it, the whole arm length chain. There's a flail that is basically, it is the stick, that there is like one link of chain, then there is a metal the metal piece. And that is like
we're talking Western Europe. There's evidence of flails as we know it today in other cultures. But those things are terrible. Like they're like nunchucks.
Yeah, as cool as it would be, like I guess you might want to call that a reenactment, because I see quote unquote flails a lot in some weapon vendors.
Or the double-bladed sword. Because they want to do the whole Darth Maul thing.
Oh.
They want to swallow from Chrono Cross, which is the name of the weapon.
Yeah. All right. Do you think? I think are we at a stopping point?
We are. So I definitely wanted to kind of end up.
We might end up doing another. I feel like there's probably a lot more we could do. So we may end up.
Yeah. Like not painting your armor.
Oh, don't get me started. Please.
Food.
Oh.
People going out there with cat bars, or like your brother during Viking year. Let's end the episode on this story, so because it's funny. So I believe it was Viking year because I was Alfred. No, not because I was Alfred, but because I was able to move about the board. I wasn't stationary. So he is stationed, and we're kind of having a moment like, and he, from out of his pouch, pulls a bag of Skittles.
Oh Lord!
Bag of Skittles on the board. from like 2 squares away from the audience. It's a small bag of Skittles, like a fun size.
Right, but still,
But
the intent is there.
it's funny because I don't care, right?
Well, you didn't care you don't care about it in the hindsight, but I'm like
in the moment I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Like, our festival is a plastic Ren Fest. It's a strawberry festival. My apologies. But,
truth hurts.
I'll take a bullet for it. But
yeah.
I thought it was funny because it was just so random. It was just like a pack of Skittles on the board, and I'm like, I think I commented about it too. I'm like, oh, you've dropped something. You dropped your rainbow, sir. He's like, oh.
And yeah.
Oh no, there have been veterans that are going out there with their car keys on their belts.
I mean, in the sense, my brother could actually be he has the skills to be successful. He has a talent. Right.
And he had it in a pocket. It just wasn't very well secured. As opposed to a lot of the phones some people are using. But of course, that is that here for this episode of the Talk Test podcast. Of course, discussing our reenactorisms, and I want to thank Jimmy, the Welsh Viking. So check out that channel for bringing that word to me and making me obsessed with it. Thank you for making your channel too. If you ever see this, I would love to have him on the podcast. Sometimes you find these sort of small channels that are growing, that are like new up and coming stuff, and it's just kind of lights a fire under you.
Mm-hmm.
And you just love watching that, like Modern History TV for me when I discovered Mr. Kingsley OBE and so on and so forth. Welsh Viking, he is incredible. Our channel to be like that, where you discover it and you just can't stop watching it because it's entertaining and informative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, hopefully we'll get there eventually. Thumbs up.
We shall. I've got a Let's Play, probably aired already before this episode goes live. What
are you playing?
RuneScape. And then Medieval Dynasty, because I bought Medieval Dynasty, but I couldn't play it because I had a Mac. Now I've got a PC.
Hey.
And of course, I'm developing a game for the channel, a full feature-length, historically rooted. It's going to be in a generic medieval world, so that it's not like historically grounded in like, if it's this period, I have to have these people. So it'll be completely historically rooted. But that way I don't have to have Alfred, I have to have King.
So basically Knight's Tale, except video game.
But real, like historically accurate.
Tragic.
So that'll be like a year or two because it's a video game.
Yeah.
But anyway, of course we all have just stuff for the channel.
Yep.
Yourself, myself, so on and so forth. But that is for down the line. Of course, check out our Patreon. You can always get all of these episodes. Whatever is airing on the channel is put on the Patreon sometimes a month or two in advance.
Nice.
So this will be here in October.
And if you have any suggestions for a topic, please let us know.
Exactly. Our patrons who have access to the Discord are able to suggest episodes here for the podcast, but also videos and content exclusive to Patreon as we continue to gain people. But until then, of course, just to go ahead and plug. I am NC, your usual host here.
And I am your friendly trash mammal, Red Iron Riot, aka the War Queen.
Or Rabble Dabble. So enjoy that.
Ah.
Bip it about.